What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dogs Down South Thursday night. Man, so cool to be on. So cool to be back. Welcome everybody on Facebook. If you're tuning in on YouTube, Twitter, any of those things. I think I'm on. I think it's on Twitter now. I don't know where this thing sends out now to, but it's sending out to a bunch of places. The only thing I can't get on right now is TikTok because if somebody wants to help us get 1,000 followers, we can get on TikTok. But anyways, welcome to Dogs Down South. Super excited to hang out tonight. I got my man Adam Fisher with me tonight. What's up, Fish? How are you, man?
What's up, man? Doing good?
Good, man. How was your holidays? How's your Christmas? How's your New Year?
Great so far. Can't complain. Went by
It's
way too fast though.
dude, always, man. It's like, and it just seems like I don't know. It was too fast, but then it was like too slow because obviously with the dogs not being in any kind of
I know
playoff
it's different.
contention, it's a little
It's
bit
different
different,
this year.
man. Yeah, I know. We kind of talked pre-show. We were like, dude, like I don't have to wear the same jersey that I've worn for 29 straight,
Yep.
wins and had, and
Yep.
haven't showered in 20. No, I'm playing.
Not
Thank
a
God.
bad problem to have. Not a bad problem to have. I mean, how many
It's
people
true,
can
man.
say that 29 straight, you know?
Yeah, man. It's exciting. There was I don't know how you could describe it. Like it was rewarding because yes, we aren't in any kind of playoff picture this year, but how could we have a any better of a showing in the Orange Bowl versus Florida State? And we'll start
Hmm.
there tonight. We haven't really hung out and talked about uh, post game stuff of the Florida State game. Obviously, social media has popped off and said numerous things just about FSU and 20 players that decided not to play and all these things and that. And uh, the funniest thing, Fish, was, and I'll let you chime in on this, was the fact that the Florida State players that did not choose to play in the game uh, had the audacity to go tweet out stuff about Alabama losing to Michigan
I
about
was
how they
just
didn't
about to
deserve to
say the
be there. What do you
same
think about that,
thing.
man?
Oh my God. I can't believe you just got beat 63-3.
Yeah,
I mean, and then you're going to talk about somebody who you feel like, got in over you who doesn't deserve to be there and they got beat, but they had a much better showing than you did. And it's not like we were even at full strength either. I mean, we had
right.
a lot of our main pieces not there. We were missing some starters. And that was a good glimpse into the future. And
Yeah,
Florida State's future doesn't look so good anymore.
yeah, man. I feel it's weird, man. I just didn't like I watched Norvell. They showed his locker room conversation, and they were like, he talked to the team and he thanked them for choosing to be there and things of that
Yeah.
nature. But then he turns around and it's just like you're not really talking to the team. Like, that's not the full team. It's weird because honestly, it stems back to NIL, man. Right now, it's
Yeah.
like I would have loved to see that game if NIL did not come into play. And if you think about it, though, that question was talked about too to me. They were like, well, what the person asked me, they were like, well, if you look at it, NIL had nothing to do with Florida State. And I was like, yeah, for the most part, theirs were mostly people that chose to bow out, whether they were going in the portal and leaving, they knew it, i.e., like Tate Rodemaker, second string quarterback, things of that nature. But I
Yeah.
don't think the game's any different with Tate in there. I mean, it's not like when people
I
were
don't
like,
think
oh,
so
Tate
either.
Rodemaker's going to the portal, I'm like, no offense, like has anybody heard where Tate Rodemaker is signing to be able to come out of Florida State and not play at all in the game? Like he's not some like he didn't like I don't even know like where is he going? Anyways, saying all that to say it's like if anything, Georgia, like the players that went into the portal for Georgia, it was that group of players that went into the portal could go to a football team and possibly take them from a non-ranked team to
Hmm.
a top 15, maybe I don't say top 10, top 20, top 15 team. That's
Yeah.
how decimated the roster of Georgia was.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, really great victory. Got to see a lot of young players play. I
Yep.
mean, what did you think about? Tell me what you were excited about seeing from that game, Fish.
Uh, Even when we put our second and third string in,
Yeah,
we were still driving. Gunnar Stockton had a few good plays. Even Will Muschamp's son got in there
Right.
for a little bit. Did you see him on the sideline? How happy he was after his son ran for like an 11-yard gain, first down.
Dude, he looked fast, dude. I was
He
like, I didn't
did,
even
didn't
know he
he?
could run like that. First off, I didn't know that I knew Will Muschamp's son played, but I didn't know we would see him in that game, dude, because I'm sure he's buried on that depth chart. But
Maybe fourth, fifth
yeah,
quarterback. Yeah.
exactly. Um, I too, man, really enjoyed watching our young players play. Man, I I'll tell you who caught my eye, man, was so let's just look at the whole scenario, man. Like, look at the amount of players, number one, that we signed that were able to
Hmm.
go to bowl practice and showed up. We had over, I think it was 18 players that dressed for practices for the Orange Bowl. That's incredible, man.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
is huge. And then on top of
That's a big
that,
number.
you had so many players that declared the next 2 or 3 days after that that decided to come back play and yeah, they didn't play the whole game, but when you watch the first and second quarter, I mean, I'll tell you, Kendall Milton, he left, but I mean, Orange Bowl MVP, he ran probably for the best game he's ran all year long. He looked
Yeah.
healthy. Would you agree?
He looked solid, man. He looked good. Like even faster maybe than he was during the regular season.
I totally agree. If we would, I think I was sitting beside. I don't know if I was texting somebody, but I was like, if Kendall would have been this healthy at the beginning of the year, and we had that consistency of Dejon and Kendall and the growth of Rod Robinson in the
Hmm.
middle of in the thick of that year. And I think and Kendall showed himself a little bit in the Alabama game. I think
Yeah,
we're a different team.
I
The
think so too.
yeah, the future's bright at running back too. So that was cool to
God.
see. I mean, how many people touched the ball in the running back position? I mean, what we saw, Rod Robinson. Who else do we see?
Yeah.
Uh,
Cash was
Cash.
in there. Yep.
It was cool to hear that Cash is one of the guys that you look at Cash and he's kind of he's small, he's short, but apparently like he's super strong, dude. Like he's like weight room
Kind of
guy.
reminds me of Christian McCaffrey a little bit, actually. I don't think
Yeah, of
he's that good right now, but I mean, he could be.
course. Yeah, I mean obviously, when we compare, it's like yeah, there's no other Christian McCaffreys out there. But yeah, I agree with that.
No. Yeah.
Rod Robinson, man, like he finally showed the. You can't really call him Chubb because we didn't get to see Chubb Jr. this year. I mean, I was so
Hmm.
excited. Felt so bad for Branson Robinson because man, when
Yeah.
I saw him last year, I was like, I'm not trying to always compare to running backs from the past, but if you look
Well,
at
we've
some of
got
our
so
running
many.
exactly,
We've got so many, so why not?
exactly, and they all I feel like the DNA of running backs that Del McGee and Kirby and everybody's going for
Yeah.
they are. I mean, why wouldn't you want to mimic what we've had in the past? I mean, I think Milton was running like the Gurley of old.
Yeah.
Did you see
I think
resemblances of
so too.
Gurley and Milton?
Yeah, because Gurley, he could run and he could get to the outside, but speed wasn't his thing.
Yeah,
It was just I don't know, like he was big, he was strong.
yeah,
He was actually elusive as well, but his top end wasn't that great. But neither is
yeah.
Kendall Milton. But yeah, definitely,
I agree. I agree. And you
definitely
got to
similar.
see. Obviously, we saw Dejon. Dejon reminds you. I mean, I think Dejon reminds you of kind of like a Noshawn Moreno, Sony
Yeah,
Michelle type back.
yeah.
So that's cool. And I tell you, man, Branson reminds me of a little Chubb, man. And I think I don't know who Rod Robinson reminds me of like a Chubb slash. I don't know, man. He's like 240 pounds, dude. Like
Oof, that's a
he
monster.
looked he looked good, dude. He looked really
Yeah,
good, and
he did.
and with some of the players coming in, I really enjoyed watching the young players play. We got to see that secondary and what might be. I think we don't, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. Like what's leaving, what's coming in, what are we going to look like? And we're going to do some fun stuff talking about
Dude, we've
realignment.
got enough running backs to have a first down running back, a second down running back, and a
Yeah,
third down running back, and they can all be different.
yeah,
And we can just rotate them in. I mean, we could. I know they won't, but I'm saying they
yeah,
could. Like we're deep at running
yeah.
back.
And obviously, the bad news about this is you go, okay, we made it through round one of the portal. We'll see that last round after spring, and I'm sure after some of this stuff pans out I mean, you got to I mean, Savon Clark obviously decided, hey, this is getting a little bit deep for me. I mean,
Hmm.
Savon was buried on the depth chart as it was, and then you add some of the talent like, Trevor Etienne, Branson Robinson coming back.
Yeah.
you add some of this depth and talent, and then you add all the backs coming in that signed this year. It's going to pan out. I mean, you're going to see. I don't foresee us having. I mean, dude, there's 7 or 8 running backs in that room that could
They
start.
all stay healthy. Lord.
And the bad thing is, man, the bad news about all this is all of them won't be on our roster after spring football. So,
That's true.
it's bad to say, you might, who knows, you might see like an Andrew Paul, who we haven't seen a lot of, who's been through injury, and he's had a few chances, but I haven't seen the flashes of Andrew Paul yet.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but I do know I'm interested to see Robinson. I don't know if we'll see any of him in the spring. Who knows? But I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see some of these young backs. I'm excited to see some of these defensive players that we come in. I'm excited to see what KJ Bolden's going to add. Obviously, um, obviously they all knew what was going to happen in that secondary with Bullard and Lassiter, because I
Yeah.
mean, I think Bolden and Ellis Robinson know they're coming in probably and expected to play really, really soon. That's why they were at bowl practice. That's why they were at. I don't know if KJ was at bowl practice. Actually, KJ was at the Under Armour All American game. He played in that game. So, but they got there early. So you got to think you're going to
Yeah.
see KJ, and you got to think you're going to see Ellis. Ellis is a talent, man. There's so many things out there, like uh, highlights of him in these one arm interceptions. He looks like a George Pickens, man, but on defense.
On
It's
defense,
crazy.
I know that's scary. Like a DB with that athleticism and the hands that can
Yeah,
actually catch the ball like that, dude.
yeah. And Humphreys, Humphreys, who obviously went. I don't know what that was about. We were talking about before we came on, but Humphreys went portal for like 2 days and then was like,
It's like,
that's probably a bad decision.
yeah, he's like, I'd be foolish to turn down a year at Georgia. A year at Georgia can set me on a path, straight to the NFL. And he's not wrong, but how did he
Yeah,
not realize that before that? Like,
yeah.
there has to
I
be
love
something.
that. I love that rotation. I mean, I like what our secondary looks like coming back. And I know we got a little bit off course from the FSU game, but I think what we're trying to say is, man, the future. Obviously, what we wanted to start talking about after that was, right after we beat FSU 63-3. Number one, it was the worst defeat of Florida State in their history. 60-point
And
defeat was the worst in history. I think it was at Orange Bowl too.
yeah,
What was
yep.
it? Did it break an Orange Bowl record?
No, yeah, we broke a lot of records.
Yeah. The main
We broke
ones
our
were
own. We broke our own record of most points won by in a bowl game.
wow.
We broke our record from last year, actually.
Right. And it ain't like this. I
Last year it
mean,
was 58.
yeah. And like, remember, this is no Beck, no Bowers, no Lad. I mean, he's out of here he's out of the game by now.
Oh
No
yeah.
Dejan, no Milton, who was the MVP. I think something people don't realize either is Kendall Milton won the MVP in 2 quarters. He won
Yep.
the MVP
Yeah,
in
no,
two
just a
quarters.
half. Just a half.
Yeah.
Hell, he had 86 rushing yards in the first quarter.
Yeah. That's crazy. I think what people don't understand is, man, it was 63-3, and every single bit of talent that Georgia had was on scene that night,
How
and
good
you
did
saw
Gunner
the
look?
future. I liked Gunner. I think Gunner looked really good.
Hmm.
It was hard to get a really close look at him because I think they tried to run the same play
Yeah,
scheme.
yeah.
Um, but I think it was heavy. It was weird. They wanted to be heavy run, but they wanted to give him an opportunity to throw and make some plays. I liked him making plays with his legs.
Hmm.
He will give us depending on how that battle turns out in the future with him and Puglisi, and if we get anybody in between that. I mean, a lot of roads say that flipping my man, I think his name is Juju from
Hmm.
Carrollton. A
Yeah.
lot of roads with the USC and the dumpster fire that's happening over there say
Dude.
that we have a great chance of flipping him, and he
Hmm.
is an incredible talent.
Hmm.
I don't think Kirby, if he has a chance to get him, I don't think we miss on him. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
don't
we
think so
missed
either.
on Dylan Raiola, but I don't think we missed on him.
I think his dad was a Nebraska alum, and I think that's why he did it. I think
Right,
he's going to go there for a year probably and then transfer out unless they just have a lot of success.
right,
But
right.
I'm pretty sure that's why he did that. And
Yeah,
maybe some NIL money, came into play too. Maybe more than he would have got here.
Matt Rule wasn't dumb, man. His whole little thing he put out there for his he did a thing where he hit the mic in front of reporters and basically said it's costing $2 million, anywhere from $1 million to $2 million for an NIL quarterback out there. He was
What a
saying
clown.
that's
What a
what I'll
clown.
pay, but he wasn't saying that's what I'll pay. You know?
What a clown. Him and Norvell, clowns.
Yeah. Well, you
Norvell
add
showed me a lot about himself this week and leading up to the game, and then after the game, and making
yeah
excuses. Basically,
yeah
like, acting like we had our starting 22 out there that we had week one,
right
which we didn't. We were depleted, but we weren't depleted because we have so much talent coming in,
right
So it just seemed like, like, I don't know, like we had some sort of weird advantage over them, even though we didn't. But,
yeah.
whatever.
Well, and Kirby, it wasn't like Norvell was alone. Kirby went on his behalf and FSU
Hmm.
fans' behalf and said, "Listen, if you don't want that to happen in the future, something's got to change." Now, nothing will change this year with NIL. They'll wait.
Mm-mm.
They love this, man. Like the NCAA loves this money thing because they make a killing off of this. You
Oh
don't
man,
see it,
yeah.
but we see it. But the
Hmm.
fact of the matter is that they're gonna wait and see what if this 12-team playoff that we're gonna talk about in a minute is gonna save college football and save the bowl season, because I think we can all say 2023's bowl season was the biggest joke of college football's.
Lord. Oh my
It,
God.
it was
It
this the
was
it was the
it was
biggest
not
joke
pretty.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a
I
joke.
mean,
There were a few good games. There were a handful of games outside the New Year's Six, but not many.
can you go back though, outside of the college playoff in Georgia? Can you go back and name a score and name the winner, like, right off the bat? I can't name the exact score, man.
Nope.
I can't tell you. I
Nope.
know that I know Oregon beat the crap out of Liberty. Like, I can go back and look at some games. Tennessee beat the crap out of Iowa. I mean,
Yeah.
I can go tell you those things, but like, I remember a day where, and you were a part of this, like, man, we had these IBM printers, man. I said IBM. And we would go back and, man, me and, Joe Lamb and his dad Clark and all them, and we go back and we would take the schedule we printed out, and we
Hmm.
would all make our picks, man. And we would sit there on New Year's Day and we would watch every single game, even New Year's
It
Eve.
used to be fun. It used to be fun. It used to be different. It just doesn't feel the same anymore. I mean, it's not the same. That's why. But
Right. Well, they're not playing
uh,
for anything. And players that are there are either not still there. They're either uncommitted to that university anymore, so they're gone,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not the real teams playing. So it's like, so you saw Oregon and Liberty play. I mean, number one, Liberty shouldn't have been there. Let's just be
No.
honest. I mean, we don't have to be politically right taking these schools and going. Kirby said it. It's the best four teams. And by the way, I
Is
don't even want to go ahead.
is there still going to be a group of fives somehow sneaking into the
No,
top 12? Like that?
no,
There's no more of that.
no, no.
Okay.
It's done, man. It's done. That's what's going to fix it all. They say. So basically, you got to now. What will change is right. What will change is I think the ranking and how they get ranked.
Hmm.
That's how you get them in. So Liberty, and we'll talk about it. We'll move on. We'll move on now. Actually,
That's fine.
Liberty getting in would have been this year. So, like, for instance, let's review some of the bowl games. Some shockers. I don't have scores, but I kind of have this mock top 12, and you can tell me if there's anybody that sneaks out to you that wouldn't be in this top 12 if we were going off of, like, game how they finished this year and
This
what
year.
they might have coming back next year. We're not going to dig deep into numbers and things of that
Hmm.
nature.
All right.
But I think Ole Miss will be in that top 12, and you've seen Ole Miss. I mean, there's Ole Miss has been the weirdest thing ever this year because they have picked up so many portal players, like
Hmm.
so many portal players. But then you see Quinshawn Junkins today go into the
Dart's
portal
coming back.
from Ole Miss. Dart is coming back.
Yep.
Wow. Do you like Dart?
I would be nervous if he was our quarterback, but I like watching him play, and
Yeah,
I like watching Lane Kiffin's offense, and I think he's a good fit there.
he
I
reminds me
really
kind of a
do.
Tim Tebow, man. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking for this guy to pick a defense apart with his arm, go go figure. But he's kind of got that heart of a, he runs
And
the
he's
ball, he throws the
he's
ball,
tough.
he gets tough, he gets dirty, man. He's got a dirty jersey every time he
Oh, he
goes
gets
out there.
beat up every every game. He gets beat up. Hell, Penn State beat him up real bad.
Yeah. So that's why I don't think it's Lane Kiffin's ideal quarterback back there, but I think he likes Dart because he kind of
Yeah,
has
what he
that.
brings to the table.
Yeah. So I would definitely have Oregon in there. I think Oregon has done a great job. I mean, they got two quarterbacks to choose from. The kid from UCLA is going there, Dante Moore, and then you
Hmm.
got the kid from Oklahoma. I don't
Oh,
understand that one, Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel's going to be the starter.
Yeah. So what's that
I
about?
think. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's Oklahoma's offensive coordinator? They have a good scheme. Like maybe that's
Well,
it. Maybe he doesn't feel like he thrives there.
Levy's gone. Oh no, that ain't Levy, man. Levy was at Ole Miss. I don't know. That's a great question. What's up, Travis King? Travis King just hopped in. Um,
Awesome.
he's asking how you guys like the Trevor Etienne edition. I love that edition, man. I mean, who? I mean, I think
Who
I talked
wouldn't?
about this, and Fish, you can answer this. I talked about this like a couple weeks back. I'm like, Etienne ran behind a terrible Florida offensive line and ran for I think 800-900 yards this year. I mean,
Hmm.
what can he do behind an offense like Georgia's? I mean, would you agree?
Definitely. And also, he's not going to be the main guy where, who they're
Right,
scheming for, the
right,
defense that they're playing,
right.
they're going to have to scheme for a lot of other things. And I think that's going to open him up a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I think,
I love. I mean, I love this. This was my Christmas present under the tree from the portal.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I was,
big time.
everybody said it could be, it might be, but I think ETN. If you want to know what ETN gives Georgia, I'll tell you what ETN gives Georgia. He gives a No Sean Moreno type vibe for Georgia. I think he reminds me of what you saw with No Sean Moreno. He could catch the ball. He was very exciting. He was very elusive out of the backfield, but
Yeah.
also he runs with a ton of um, untapped power. Like
Hmm.
it's weird, man. You see it and you're like, holy crap. I watched him when the Georgia Auburn game play when they played Kentucky, and he
Hmm.
had some incredible runs, man,
Yeah.
against a defensive line. You remember Kentucky's defensive line this year?
Big
They were
time.
320 plus, bro, and he had
They were
some
great.
really good runs. I love this. He can catch the ball in the backfield. Obviously, culture has to line up. I've seen
Yeah.
this from Georgia. These big names, they come in, and what I hope for Trevor is that he comes in and he buys into the culture because
Hmm.
it's not a Florida. It's not a you're not the
That's
big
different.
name anymore. It's team.
That's right.
It's we, not I at Georgia. So
Exactly.
I hope that he buys into that. I hope that he's not one of those. What's my boy that came in and he was at Wake Forest and he was going to be the guy and never saw him hit the field, dude. What was his name? COVID year,
Uh,
2020, man. If
oh my
Travis King
God.
is still in here, you name that one, bro.
I have to
Can't
look that
remember
one
his
up.
name, bro. He never saw the field, man. He was going to be this
Yeah.
Jamie. Starts with a J, dude. I don't know. Anyways, I should know. Never saw the field, so I guess I hope ET and Jamie Newman. Look, he got it. You Google it.
Awesome.
Did you Google it?
Oh,
Tell the
that's
truth.
right. Oh,
Jamie
that's right.
Newman.
God. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
I just hope he sees. I mean, I just hope ETN is there at spring practice and he makes it through and gets in. I just hope that he's a culture guy and wants to be a part of a team that wants to win it all as
Hmm.
Georgia and not as we don't have. I mean, we don't have single players everywhere like these other teams have. And
Not
I'm
anymore.
just speaking truth, right? Right, Fish?
That's right. Oh, definitely, dude. Not anymore.
Just
Kirby has
yeah,
definitely changed culture. He has flipped things around. Not to say Rick, was intentionally,
yeah,
putting people on a pedestal like that, but because I know he wasn't. Rick was a great guy. He's a great coach. But
yeah,
Kirby has definitely changed things
yeah,
for the better.
definitely.
Definitely
Yeah. Yeah.
more of
Travis,
a
you said I hope
team
we get
culture.
some. Yeah, Travis said I hope we get some transfers on defensive line. They actually today they're getting a visit from a target out of Marshall who had some really great stats. I don't know his name, but yeah, I agree. I think you'll see. I think you know what I did see the last few games from a couple of guys who I think are going to hang around. Nazir Stackhouse and Brinson, man, they looked a lot better. They looked great against Florida State.
Hmm.
We got pushed around against Alabama. That's the one thing I think is the difference between Michigan and Georgia in that Alabama game is defensive line wise for Michigan. They're just really, really solidified, and that's not
Hmm.
Georgia's fault, man. I mean, We lost 7 players on that defensive line in 2 years. I don't know who can take that attrition, man. And it's in a positive way. Like, they didn't
It's
just hit the
hard.
portal.
Yeah.
They went to the
No.
NFL, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And they're starting. Jordan Davis starts, I think, for Philly now. Him and Cox, Fletcher Cox on the D line.
yeah.
Ooh, that's a scary defensive line.
Yeah, man. And Philly is, I mean, dude, you see what Philly's doing with the Georgia way. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
looks pretty good on paper. We'll
Yeah.
move on though, man. So
Yeah.
obviously
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Oregon. No, you're good. Oregon will be in that top 12. I think Georgia will be in that top 12 for next year
Mm-hmm.
with the returning players we have. I have FSU in here, and I'll tell you why. We'll discuss it in a second because I think what we're going to see is with conference realignment, why we have FSU in here.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, obviously, I think will still be great next year. I think they'll lose some pieces. You already saw
Melrose
the
coming back.
Milroy's coming back, but you already saw a little exit after that Rose Bowl game. They've had 6
Dallas
players enter
Turner
the
said
portal.
peace.
He did. Dallas Turner
He
was
said,
quick,
I'm
man.
out.
And there's 5 or 6 players that hit the portal immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately hit the portal, and so they'll have their. So apparently, the new rule this year is players that have a bowl game have 5 days after their bowl game, and then their
Yeah.
portal chances are shut down. So for the next 3-4 days, Alabama and Texas. I haven't heard anything from Texas, but they both have chances to still enter the portal. UGA is poised to be the best team in the country for 4th straight. I totally agree with that. The DNA is there again. I would say that the biggest growth this year, you know how many years we've said when we came into a season that it's like if the offense clicks, if the
Mm-hmm.
quarterback play is good, if the wide receiver. I mean, this is what we were saying last year. Am I not wrong? We were
That's
talking
right.
about is Carson Beck going to be the guy? Is the receiver play going to be good? We're adding Dom Leverett. We're adding, all these players. We're adding Rah Rah. We're adding all these
Mm-hmm.
players. And then we turn around, and now this year we look at one of the most explosive offenses, and that's minus Brock Bowers, minus Lab McConkey, and losing 2 running backs. One of the most explosive offenses possibly in college football. And so if I would say we're having to come into this year working on what we're going to have on defense, I feel good about that. Because let me
Yeah,
just
me
tell you,
too.
like, that's Kirby, man. That's Kirby's avenue. And we've continued time and time again to be successful on defense with 3, 3.5, 4-star players, 5 stars, obviously, too. But
Yeah.
this year and last year, we had 5-star talent enter into our rosters, and that is even different, man. That's different.
Big time.
Yeah. What? Who else? So I got Alabama in there. I got Michigan. Obviously, Michigan's going to lose a lot, but they recruited well as of late as well. I think
Harbaugh's not coming back next year, so who's going to be their head coach?
You call him that one?
Oh, bro, he has stirred up so much controversy around him this year. I think he's tired of it. I think he's going to haul butt straight to the NFL after this season, just win or lose, win or lose. I'm pretty sure he's taking a job in the NFL next year.
Yeah,
I think he's done with college because
I think the Raiders, the Raiders seem to want him bad. The Raiders or the Panthers are talking. They're talking Jim Harbaugh. I just, I don't know,
I'd go to
man. Like,
Vegas if I was him.
really, I don't know, man.
Carolina's a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, I still don't know if I see Harbaugh going, man. But you may be right. I heard
It's
what's
just
his
my
name?
opinion.
Yeah. Washington's in there, but I
Mm-hmm.
think we don't know a lot about Washington next year. I mean, they are going to be in another conference. I got Ohio State. I got Texas. I'm super impressed with Missouri. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
beat that Missouri team this year, and that win on paper looks much better and better and better and better. I was at that game,
Mm-hmm.
and the feel of that game was not we were losing. The feel of that game was we were not winning and not controlling it like Georgia likes to. That's the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we
Well,
ever were out of that equation, but
no.
that's a good Missouri team, man.
Well,
That's a real
Missouri
good
was just
Missouri
good.
team. What's that?
I said they were just good. I
They
mean,
were.
they were great. This year,
Yeah.
this was a good year for them. They recruited well and transfer portaled well. And I mean, is their quarterback coming back next year?
Cook, yeah.
I
Cook and
think the running
Burton.
back's gone. Oh, is Burton coming back?
Well, Luther Burden is a wideout, but the other
Oh,
guy
that's
is
right. That's right.
he's gone. I know who you're talking about. He was great for us. He reminded me of every time he put the pads on for Missouri, he looked like Coral from Michigan to me. He ran and looked just like him. I forget the guy's name. It's right on my tongue. Missouri looked great. I have Ohio State in here, but dear Lord, like,
Yeah.
what does
Ohio
anybody know
State will
what
be back.
Ohio State's going to be next year? Like, I didn't see them sign a quarterback. I mean, are
They
they?
did. They
Who
did.
was it?
I don't know his name. The kid from Kansas State.
Oh, the Will Howard kid, tall
Yeah,
kid.
there you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I did not know that. So
yeah, they got him.
basically, that was their last. I mean, not to say their last choice, but that was their last. I don't think they wanted him.
No, they were
I
waiting on
think,
what's his name who declared for the NFL. The
yeah,
guy from Washington State, I think.
yeah. Oh, Cam Ward. He went.
Yeah,
He declared.
yeah, he's NFL.
Wow,
Yep.
that's okay. That's a so then Miami's sitting there going with so now Miami's sitting there going what? That's crazy because FSU went with Uyunglele. It's like
Yep.
a free agency,
That's
man. It's
why
crazy. Yeah, it's like a free
they were waiting on
agency.
him too. It is basically. I mean, where are you going to get the better deal? Where are you going to get the most money? Playing time, I'm sure, is a small factor. I don't know if it's as big as it should be now, but
Yeah. Travis says Fran Brown at Syracuse is going to make a little noise. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll be a sleeper team to look out for. Not yet, I don't think. I think there has to be some. We've yet to see if Fran Brown was a great recruiter. He was a great motivator.
hmm
It's hard to see sometimes. I don't know if that will transfer like a Dan Lanning or anybody yet. I don't know about yet. I give Fran Brown 2-3 years, and it's hard for Fran Brown right now because he don't have that money, man, and that NIL
yeah.
money right now is
Oh,
talking.
Oregon's got Nike money. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever Lanning wants, Lanning gets. I mean, it
yeah,
was an easier process for him, I think, to take over Oregon and have success than
right,
it's going to be for him at Syracuse because Syracuse isn't that high profile school, not in
right,
football at least, anyway.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with that. So I think it's going to be it's not going to be Fran Brown. It's going to be and it's always going to be this, guys and ladies, if you're watching. It's always going to be about this until they fix this NIL stuff. The Syracuse's, I mean, even the Colorados. I mean, I think Travis, you just said something about Colorado. Do you guys think primetime? I mean, Colorado just lost 5 assistant coaches, and they don't have the money. They barely signed. Like they put all of their, I mean, all of their chips in the middle was for this 5-star left tackle, well, tackle in general, NIL money towards this guy coming out of high school,
But
and he
that was
barely,
obviously their biggest need because man, Shador got beat
yeah.
up last year so bad.
But they lost 5. They lost 5 coaches this year, man. Offensive coordinator gone.
hmm
Kelly was a defensive guy that I thought was. I mean, the defense was terrible this year. I mean, they gave up 50, 60 points a game. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Travis, I'm not. I like Dion, man. I like him as a person. I love watching him as a player. I think his coaching style is great for young men mentorship and
hmm
for bringing up boys to men. But I don't know if he's going to win football games with that. What do you think, Adam?
I want to see him have success so bad because I think it's great for college football. I do.
Yeah,
I do because he's a high profile guy. I like, he's very entertaining. He's one of my favorite players
right,
all time, football and baseball.
right.
So I mean, I want him to have success, but I haven't heard anything about like I figured they would hit the portal hard, but I haven't heard that they're like reloading and getting more dudes,
No,
getting the 4 or 5 guys that he says he needs. You
he
know,
didn't. He didn't do much of anything. Now, he may be waiting on that like spring portal hit.
hmm
I don't know. I don't know, man. Shador reminded me of Justin Fields in Chicago this year. It's like so much talent at the quarterback spot, but if he's not
nothing
upright,
around him,
yeah, if he's not
nothing
upright,
around
he
him.
can't make a play.
Yeah, he had no help. And Travis Hunter, when he went out for those 4 games, their season that was it.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
mean, he
totally
was their
agree.
best shot at putting up points against some of those harder schools, the bigger schools that they played last year to make the games close.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And
totally agree.
they didn't
I
have a
totally agree.
chance.
And then I got Tennessee and Liberty in there, just throwing it out there. Now, here's the crazy thing. Let me read this last comment. Primetime would fit perfectly on Kirby's staff. I doubt he'd be. No, he wouldn't be. But the thing is I do believe that Kirby's and Dion's mentality is the same. I mean, they don't take a lot of crap.
Hmm.
But this is a good thing, Travis. I'll do a little pitch for my leadership podcast. But I think Kirby has that 50-50 where it's love and accountability. It's love and accountability and care. I sometimes, and you can throw me under the bus with this if you want to, but I sometimes don't get that. I feel like players have really let out that Dion's not a very caring coach. Like he's not very open for, like, I've heard you can just stop and kind of talk to Kirby on the side after practice. You can talk to him before. I don't think Dion. I'm worried that Dion doesn't make himself available enough to these guys unless it's on the cameras or a Netflix documentary or
Hmm.
a recruiting visit. But I've just
Yeah.
heard like players don't get a lot of him unless it's like the tough love on the field or the tough love off the field. Where I feel like it's got to be a little bit of both.
Hmm.
Um, you got to be real, man. Like you can't just be, and we can go all day on this, man. But you can't just be like, you know, you can't just be all tough love, man.
No,
Uh, yeah,
you're
I
right.
agree with that, man. I mean, when okay, I got you right here, Travis, and I love Dion, man. But when's the last time? And I know why he does this. I know he's had some medical things going on, but I don't know the last time you seen Kirby pulled up in a decked out like golf cart, and his own, prime time Kirby on that. I just think sometimes that can look the players look at that and go, do we have like a superstar as a coach or do we have like a person that I can go up to and talk about life with,
Well, according
maybe
to the commercials, Kirby drives an F-150.
really. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's he drive at practice, bro? What's he drive at practice though? Nothing, bro. He's running around out there with him. That man went to
Yeah.
he went to a teleconference the other day, man, with a Georgia jacket on from, like, I swear that thing was from 2018, man. The G was gone. The Nike swoosh sign was rubbed. I'm like, this man can get all the stuff he wants, man, and he got this jacket on from 2018 on a
Yeah.
press conference.
Well,
Uh,
he's still old school.
yeah,
He's one of the last old school coaches out there. Definitely.
yeah. So let's turn our attention a little quick. I thought this was fascinating earlier. So let's look at conference realignment, and this blew my mind, man. Conference realignment next year is funny, man. So when we look at, so there's 12 teams, obviously. So the top four teams will be the top four spots will be going to teams that have won their conference championship regardless of ranking. So that's where this ACC, this realignment gets really tricky. Uh, was it Travis said, yeah, that's his favorite fleece. It's old and faded. I know. Yeah, dude, he don't care, bro. He just
Hmm.
got. I think he told me. I think he no told he didn't tell me, but I think he told
No, you
somebody.
got Kirby's number.
No, man, I got a dog named Kirby. But he
Awesome.
told somebody. He said that was my first haircut in like 4 months before the Orange Bowl. Did you notice he got a haircut before the Orange Bowl?
Yeah, yeah. He did
Probably
look
the
a little
most time he's
thinner
ever
up
had.
top.
If
Yep.
there wasn't like 3 or 4 days
That's funny.
where recruiting was done, he probably wouldn't have got that haircut. That's crazy. But conference realignment is so important, and it's important because that's where the things are going to be shaken up. Because I was talking to Fish earlier, and I was like, the thing is what do you see the teams that are the top four, like what are their rankings going to be winning that conference? I'll give you an example. Let's talk about ACC realignment.
Let,
ACC, let's go through the teams. So the new teams to the ACC next year, the new teams are Cal,
hmm
are SMU,
Yeah.
Stanford.
hmm
That's three new teams. So when you look at all of this, when you look at the dichotomy of the ACC, Boston College, Cal, Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, North Carolina, NC State, Pitt, Stanford, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. There is notice what did you notice about that? There's only one school on that whole thing right there that I think could possibly win their conference. And I don't know next year with Uyunglele. There's a lot of unprovens. You're losing a lot of talent at FSU. That's not the same team, but you got
hmm
a terrible conference. Does Clemson Does Clemson come back as Clemson? Who knows? I'd have to
Like a
see it. We'll,
phoenix from the ashes.
right? We'll see him. We'll see him week one, right? We'll know.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
no.
but 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 who comes out of there as the thing is who comes out of the ACC as the conference champion? I mean, it's got to be FSU, right? Regardless of how bad they are. And my thing is if they come out of there, are they a top 15 team? What do you think?
I don't know. Depends. Their record is not going to be. I mean, not their record, but their schedule. I don't think is that difficult. I don't think it's that hard to navigate, even with whoever their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah,
They're still one of the better teams. I
yeah,
think. In the conference, probably the best team easily.
yeah.
I mean, we don't know what Clemson's going to look like. I didn't buy real estate, so I don't know.
I mean, the one name I know that I really was hating to lose was I heard a lot of good things about Sammy Brown, 5-star middle linebacker. But guess what? We signed the number one middle linebacker. Well, we signed the number one linebacker in Phillips coming out of high school. He ended up kind of overtaking it. I don't know if you guys saw him play at the Under Armour All American game, but that kid
uh,
is fast, bro. He
yeah.
is fast. I don't know if he's got that. So I said Roquan Smith. I was like, okay, bro, he ain't built like that yet. We'll
Oof.
see once he gets on the weights. But
Roquan's a
Travis,
beast.
he is, man. And Roquan, I think, Roquan got a little rebirth with the Ravens.
Man, he got snubbed for defensive rookie of the year. He led his team in tackles that year, and that was the
Right.
team that had Khalil Mack on it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that was a defense with Khalil Mack, and he had more tackles than he did.
yeah,
And he couldn't get defensive rookie of the year, didn't get any accolades, nothing.
yeah,
And I couldn't believe it. He was
yeah,
easily one of the best middle linebackers in the league his rookie year.
yeah. No, I totally agree. So ACC, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't see. So think about this. There's somebody out of that ACC that's going to have home field advantage, not play in the first round. Yeah, and I don't know, man. So let's go Big 12. This is another head scratcher right here, man. Arizona State. So let's talk about the new teams. Um, the new teams are into the Big 12 or Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
You got Utah, UCF, which interesting for UCF with KJ Jefferson, right? Um,
Oh, I can't believe he left Arkansas. I mean, I
Arizona,
can, but
Arizona State, BYU. I mean, dude, what? Like,
unless this
what
was
is
one of
the
those fluke years where BYU was good for some reason.
what is the Big 12, dude? And why is there even a 12 bot anymore? Like,
Yeah, I know.
why is there a 12? There's not. I mean,
In the Big Ten, all these conferences with numbers in the name need to just give
just
up,
get rid of them.
change
The
it,
big.
find something else. Like
I mean, yeah. I mean, I
the
don't know
big
the North.
Midwest or the
Just
big Northern Hemisphere. I don't know. Something.
yeah. No, I agree. Maybe we should just call it North, South, East,
Yeah,
West. Let's just
something.
call it that. But I
Yeah.
mean, once again, Fish. I mean, Travis. Which I know Travis got his prediction for next year: Georgia, Oregon, Michigan, Bama. We can talk about that because I don't agree with that. I think Oregon, is going to struggle mightily next year, and what we can talk about in a little bit. But when you look at the Big 12, once again, who's going to be the winner of this conference? Like, I'll tell you what I have down in my notes. So if you're looking at a 12-team playoff, this is who you got vying for that Big 12 title: UCF, Utah, Oklahoma State.
Hey, don't count out the Gus bus now. UCF
That's what
came
I'm
close
saying, man. Like, but
to beating
UCF is
Oklahoma this
now,
year.
yeah. So now UCF, who quote unquote was national champions a few years ago,
Yeah.
um,
I love these Florida teams claiming things that they don't have, like FSU, UCF. Come on, something about the Sunshine State. I don't know.
if so, if Alabama would have lost, I'm gonna throw this out there. If Alabama would have lost and Texas would have won and Michigan would have beaten Texas in the national championship, could Georgia kind of just be like national champion? Because in my opinion, like we all know that everybody thinks that Georgia's owned Michigan
Dude,
for
print the T-shirts. I'll buy one.
right, right. We could just do it. We could pull the UCF thing, man. But here's the thing. Now UCF is in a conference that they can now sneak into. I mean, they can sneak into this playoff system, and they could Fish, they could buy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we like? This will be even better. All right, we're gonna look at who could probably get the buys next year. All right, let's move on before we do that. Let's look at the rest of the conference. So when you look at the rest of the conference alignment, now you got Big Ten, right? You got Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So who's new? So who's new? We got Nebraska new, right? Nebraska, yeah, they're Big 12. Nebraska's new. Washington's new. USC,
Mm-hmm.
Rutgers, Oregon, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
we finally got a little bit more competition here, right? So we finally
Mm-hmm.
got a little bit more out here.
Oregon
But
State.
Oregon State, yes. No, Oregon State's my Pac-2, man.
Are they still in the Pac too?
I think that's the
Really?
Pac-2. Pac-2
Wow.
is where's my Pac-2? I got it right here somewhere, man. Pac-2. Yeah, Oregon State, Washington State. That's our Pac-2, man.
Wow.
So when you look at this, man, like who is so who comes out of here and are they at, top, so you got to look at probably I would think maybe it'd be between Michigan. Do they have I don't even know. I mean, did the Big Ten do they have the South or the North or the West or like how does this work? Is it working all the same? Is it top
What's
two
Washington?
teams?
What's Washington's schedule next year? Do they play any like already Big Ten teams from this year? Do they play like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn
They
State?
it's kind of like Oklahoma and Ohio. I mean, I'm sorry, Oklahoma and Texas.
Hmm.
Everybody gets a little bit of Washington and Oregon.
How many conference
So
games do they play?
it's the same. I think it's eight,
Nine or
eight,
eight? It's eight this year, nine next year, right?
eight this year, not next year.
Okay.
So I
Sorry, my
mean,
bad.
this could be a conference where you could see maybe a Michigan win this again. I don't know though.
Hmm.
Anything can happen when Harbaugh leaves. As I mean, Fish is calling it. They're going to lose a lot of talent.
Hmm.
Yeah, Travis King. There's only two teams in the Pac conference now. It's the Pac-2. So that's another thing they have to deal with on what that's going to look like because obviously, like, how in the world do they ever predict that if some like so
That was
basically,
going to happen. The mass exodus.
dude. So if you're telling me right now, I wouldn't leave either. Washington State's basically at a 50% chance of going to the playoffs right now. That's crazy, right?
Sorry,
Right
that
now.
cracks me up. Sorry,
Yeah, they have
had to laugh.
50% chance right now. Why would Oregon
Yeah,
State? Oregon State's got a brand new coach, lost a lot of talent, lost their quarterback, lost their running back, and they have a
yeah.
50% chance of going to the playoff right now. Now, enter this in. This is a dog sled, dude. Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt. Um, man, God help the Vandies and Mississippi States of this group in
Mississippi State.
Arkansas's.
Oh my God.
It's a gauntlet, bro. Like a 16 team top two goes. Oh man, but that's the thing. Like, so out of these, like, let me see. So if let's just say that between Georgia and Alabama, let's say Georgia and Alabama goes back to the championship next year for some reason.
Hmm.
Um, let's say winner of that, we'll say Georgia, right? Sorry,
Hmm.
sorry, Bama. This is dogs down south. So
Yes,
let's say
sir.
Georgia wins it. So let's say Alabama's in. We think that Texas, with what they have coming back, would be somewhere in the mix and in maybe right.
Hmm.
We think that Ole Miss, with everything they've picked up in the portal and everything they have going on right now, is a possible contender to be in. We think maybe Oklahoma, but we haven't seen what they're going to have with losing starting quarterback, starting running back. I think Missouri is reloaded on top of what they
Yeah.
already have. You could see them getting in. That's six. We don't know what Auburn can do with Hugh Freeze in year two. Um, I heard a lot. I thought that when Cam Ward did not sign with Miami, I thought Hugh Freeze was going to pull off the
The
scoop of the
miracle.
decade and
Yeah.
grab him.
Another
Um,
miracle on the plans.
yeah, and then Kentucky, I think, is trying to reload and try to be that team too.
A lot
Maybe,
of that hinges on Brock Vandegrift and
yeah,
how good he is.
right. So maybe Kentucky and maybe LSU. LSU just fired their whole defensive staff, so who knows what's going on with that?
Everybody.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, so we got 8 possible SEC teams. But here again, you got your Pac-2 and you got your independents. You got your Notre Dames. I won't call the UConns and the UMasses, but
Mhm.
and then you got your American Athletic Conference that realigned. This is a funny one, man. Not because I'm not picking on the American Athletic Conference, because I'm just like, what the heck, man? Army,
Yeah,
Charlotte, East Carolina, FAU, Memphis, Navy, North Texas, Rice, South Florida, Temple, Tulane, Tulsa, UAB, UTSA. Woo! Conference USA. We don't even need to read it, Matt. Don't need to read it.
nope.
I mean, Midwest. We don't need to read it, man. What like it just doesn't. It's not even worth it, man. Like, what is the Mountain
Mm-mm.
West anymore? Air Force, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno, Hawaii, Nevada, Wyoming, Utah, UNLV. When has any of these schools been relevant? San Diego, New Mexico State. Are we getting towards a point where it's clearly should be Division One and Division Two, and Division Three and Division Four? Like maybe we should just go. There's no way these schools are going to have the money to compete because it's coming down to money now as well as talent. Um,
I heard some tier talk today on a local radio show I was listening to. Like there's talk about tiers.
uh huh. Yeah.
They'll, splitting it up into tiers, like, like Alabama's and Georgia's, and then, the middle of the roads, and then, you know, a little further down and on and on and on. I
Yeah,
don't
man.
know.
Because
They're gonna
well,
have to
well,
do something.
well, if not, let me read this comment because it's hilarious. Travis King said the VSU Blazers could win that conference. Yeah, man. And
Valdosta
then
State, baby.
Valdosta State and Travis, they could win that conference and lose their quarterback to NIL. That's the
Yep.
thing. There's going to be there's no so where does so I got you out of this. Let's look at this real quick. Let's look at the top 12 right now and go, who's the team that 4 years ago would have been in this situation and has built a team from zero to hero? I really want to look at zero to hero. Change coaches has built has built something for their team. I think I think Ohio State's been here. I think Washington. I think Washington's always been competitive in the Pac-12.
Hmm.
Michigan's been here. Alabama's been here. FSU's been here. It's just like what the frick were they doing with all that money and all that? I mean, Willie Taggart and Jimbo, man. Between Willie Taggart and Jimbo, man, they have enough money to get. I don't know, man, to get us out of poverty from
I hope
from,
that
from
national
FSU.
championship trophy that Jimbo won at FSU was sitting in Jameis Winston's house. It better
And
be,
he,
'cause that's the only reason he got one.
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. So, I mean, and then Ole Miss, Oregon, Georgia. So, if I'm looking at these, so I mean, we're prospectively trying to pick a team that NIL would have crushed if it was in full swing. I think out of these 12 teams, the two teams that I would say has benefited the most from culture, not including Georgia. I'll keep Georgia out of that because we know they've seen two national championships. They've seen the most high end. But if NIL was going like this, what is the team out of these top 12 that would have never been where they're at now because NIL would have taken it away from them? Me personally, out of this 12, I think it's I personally think it's Oregon. What do you think?
I agree.
Because now
I mean,
Oregon didn't have Dan Lanning 4 years ago.
true. But they've always managed to have decent coaches. I mean, Brian Kelly was there. The guy that came in after him wasn't terrible.
Who was that? So Brian Kelly. Oh, you mean to tell me you talking about my guy from Cristobal, Mario
Cristobal,
Cristobal?
yeah, he wasn't
Yeah, bro.
terrible.
He ain't terrible, but we're gonna see what he's made out of. He just, how much money Miami threw at players this year. It's unquestionably like Cristobal had to go and say, if it is to be, give me the money this year, I'll put it all out there. Well, he didn't get a quarterback out of it,
Mm-mm.
and he missed out on a couple of signing a couple of players that actually signed with Georgia. I mean, apparently Ellis Robinson was a Miami lean in the last few
Really?
days. Yeah, well, I'm sure it was not Miami lean; it was a money lean. When you
Yeah.
flash
Oh
when
yeah.
you flash millions of dollars in front of an 18-year-old, that's life changing, bro. That's life
It
changing
is.
money. But I would say
Mm-hmm.
Oregon. NIL would have ripped Oregon apart. But remember this: Bo Nix did not go to Oregon during NIL He didn't go to Oregon during
He
NIL.
didn't
He
go for
went
the money.
no. So that was huge because
Hmm.
I firmly believe that if NIL was firmly in grasp to what it is now, Bo Nix would have been a hot commodity. I believe that
Big
you would
time.
not have seen some of the playmakers that came through Oregon as 2-3 stars and got developed. You would have seen them leaving for
Hmm.
dollars. And so
Yeah.
Oregon doesn't get that team put together and Lanning come in and kind of finish off the because Oregon was always known for their offense, but Lanning came in and had a defensive mindset, and so it was always Oregon
Made him
had to score
tougher.
60 points to win, and now at
Hmm.
least the last 2 years they could score 30 and win.
Yep.
So I think Oregon would have got the worst out of that. Let me read this completely different topic. Maybe you guys can touch on it later, but no one's talking about how Saban hasn't done much since Kirby left Bama. And the one natty that they did win, we gave them on the last play of the game. Was Kirby the one behind all the magic of Bama? They haven't looked the same. Yeah, man. You want to hit that one, Fish, real quick?
Well, wasn't this the first year or something like that that Alabama wasn't ranked number one in the AP poll at all? The
Yeah,
first year since Saban's first year there.
yeah,
I mean, that's a heck of a stat.
yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, uh, I used to think that Kirby was, just a puppet, in his early years at Alabama as DC, and I thought Saban was the mastermind.
Uh,
But,
yeah.
since Kirby came to us and he brought all of that plus two national championships, it's kind of makes you wonder, you know, makes you wonder a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely the GOAT. I mean, 7 national championships, that's unmatched, and
I'll,
will be for at least 5 more years.
yeah, I'll tell you where I think the difference is, Travis. This is a great question, by the way. I'll tell you where I think the difference is recruiting. I think that Kirby has taken some of that. I mean, so let's go back 3 years ago and look at the talent that was at Alabama. So let's throw some names out there, right? Bryce Young, Julio Jones. Um,
It's basically a
I'm,
who's who.
I mean, and I'm not. I'm sorry, I'm not. Uh, who's my guy? Who's running for the Raiders right now? Running back, the offensive line, crazy offensive line talent has come out of Alabama 3 years prior to that. Defense is
Hmm.
is crazy nuts. Secondary, Minka Fitzpatrick. You look at Patrick Surtain. You look at the
CJ
talent. Those are
Mosley.
C.J. Mosley. So I think the difference, Travis King, is it's easy. Let's say this with the talent that Nick Saban has as a coach and the history and the where he's been and the knowledge that he has downloaded per se to his DNA. When you're working with the best, you're going to look like you're going to put that together with the best. You're going to put some of the best coaching mindset with the best player mindsets in the country. It's gonna land pretty nice. Now the difference is that coaching talent wise, Kirby has taken some of that. Player
Hmm.
talent wise, Kirby has taken some of that. You got to remember, Dan Lanning was an Alabama guy. He was on Kirby's staff. Schumann,
Hmm.
Alabama guy.
Yep.
Kirby, obviously Alabama guy. You look at the offense coordinator for Georgia Tech. I think his name Georgia Tech called a great game plan against Georgia this year
They
offensively.
did. Hmm.
But he was on he was on Kirby's, his staff, but he wasn't an on field coach. I forget his name. I think it was Summers was his last name or something like that. Buster something.
Buster. That's right.
But Buster was an analyst, right? And then
Hmm.
there's so many coaches in that coaching tree. And so I think Alabama was for a while there, it had all the coaches. I mean, it had Pruitt. Look when, Pruitt left and came back and then left again to go to Tennessee. So I think
Yep.
what you see is in the last few years, Travis, you've seen coaching not be consistent so that I don't think the culture at Alabama is as consistent. I think Nick Saban is an NFL guy. So the NFL runs like that. They see different players, they see different bodies, they see free agency and trades. And so um, Saban's used to that. because he's coached in the NFL. But when you're dealing with college kids and having to continuously reinvent the culture with young kids, um, Kirby does that really well. And I think
Hmm.
Saban might have out. What would you call it? I don't want to say he's too old for it, but do we honestly think Nick Saban? I mean, when he's in these households, like he's just checking off a box, right? So he's like,
Well, a
"Hey,
lot of
man,
I think he relies a lot on mystique and reputation more than he does other things now, as far
right,
as his recruiting goes.
right,
Like it's Nick Saban. Let's go,
right,
you know, let's go play for Nick Saban.
yeah."
You know,
Because
Kirby.
I mean,
I don't know. It's different. A lot more energy. I feel like.
but don't you feel like when does the talent run out? Like when does the talent? When have we seen the biggest talent gap? That's a better question. I don't know about you guys, but and we can argue about it all day long. Alabama beat Georgia this year. I get it, but when do we all agree the talent was not the same Alabama talent as the last 5 6 years? I mean, where's the guy? Jalen Milroe is not so. So if Jalen Milroe, I mean, notice this: how many people were talking about Beck? Should he stay or go? And he's he a first round talent? Who's talking about Jalen Milroe right now going to the NFL? Jalen Milroe is he might be talked about next year, depending on how much they can do with his arm. That he might be like a Lamar Jackson type talent. But we all know that Lamar Jackson right now is not living off his legs anymore.
Nope.
Lamar Jackson is having to learn offense. He's having to learn play calling. I mean, he's with a guy that we all know very well, and they're
Mr.
getting the
Monken.
best out of that offense because they're
Yep.
finding the playmakers and not allowing a person to be the only playmaker.
They're not loaded with talent either on
Correct.
offense. I mean, they have
Correct.
Odell Beckham Jr. as like their number two wideout. I mean, no offense, he was great back in his day, but you know, 3 or 4 injuries to his legs since then, and now
Uh-huh.
he's. I'm sure he's not the same receiver he used to be. He's not jumping, making one-handed catches in the end zone. That's for sure.
Yeah. And his favorite talent's not even there right now. I mean, Andrews is out.
Yep.
I mean, so I don't want to get too far off, but I think the talent is. Here's the thing, though. Kirby has some staff. Who is it? I don't. Who's the turnover on Kirby's staff? Because I would tell you that Fran Brown, if you remember correctly, Fran Brown took over for who as a secondary coach. Does anybody remember who the secondary coach he took over for?
Mm-mm.
I'm trying to remember. I know Muschamp. We brought Fran Brown in, but who left? I can't put it. I
Well, I
can't
don't know.
put a hit on it. But the people Kirby has lost, he's brought back. I mean, McClendon went and called plays for South Carolina, and then
Mm-hmm.
Kirby brought him back. And
Yep.
McClendon will tell you in any interview right now, he's the happiest he's ever been. He's
Yep.
recruiting. He's where he wants to be. Yeah, Munkin was never a college guy though, Travis. He was never a college guy. He didn't like recruiting. He didn't. We were a breather. I think Munkin looked at Georgia like he got to play a few games of Madden for a little while. You know what I'm saying?
Basically, then his
Like,
quarterback was Stetson Bennett. Can you believe that?
yeah. So I think I love Fran Brown. By the way, Dan Lanning. Um, I was shocked. If there's anybody that I didn't think was head coaching material, the Dan Lanning thing shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because I never saw the DNA of how he coached, but nowadays, like coaches are like they're putting their if it's a defensive minded coach, they're going out and grabbing an offensive mind. If they're an offensive minded coach, they're going out and grabbing the biggest defensive mind. But I think what
And
you was
that's why people I feel like didn't want to give Bobo a chance because they were just so afraid of him being exactly what he was under Rick, which wasn't a terrible offensive coordinator. I mean, let's be honest. His stats, say that he was a pretty good offensive coordinator.
yeah,
But
and
I,
I
I think
and
I think that was the stigma
well
part of it
also
anyway.
too. No offense, like I love Mark Rick, but how many recruiting classes? I remember being in school on National Signing Day you know, waiting on these classes under Rick to drop. And it's just like, remember when Matthew Stafford signed and he was like the 5 star? I
Hmm.
remember Matthew Stafford was a 5 star, and then was it Miller? What was it? Brandon Miller was a 5 star out of Miller County. I remember when I was in high school and those two signed, and it was like it was like, holy cow, man. Like I was infatuated with Stafford. Like I was
Yeah.
making him on NCAA football, like I bought the jersey. Like that was when the
Yep.
jersey didn't have the name on it yet. It was just you had a 7 jersey, right?
Yep. Yep. There you
So,
go. Bam.
but now look at the draft class. It is like a draft, dude. Look at the signing class now. I mean, it's just tons of 5 stars, bro. Tons of
Mm-hmm.
4 stars, right?
Yep.
We lost more stars. I mean, can I remind you what I just read? Can we just talk about this again? I'm gonna read this out loud again just for everybody to listen to. Bro, Conference USA, FIU, Jacksonville State, Liberty, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, UTSA, UAB, Tulane, Tulsa, Temple, South Florida, Rice. Bro, every 20 portal players leaving Georgia right now could be leaders, starters, and game changers for any of those teams on that conference. They would walk
Big
on
time.
campus and
Be
I mean,
rock stars.
yeah, they're rock stars, man. Rick kept plenty of the talent at UGA. We could never get over the hump back then. Still blows my mind this day because UGA has always been loaded with talent. You know why we couldn't get over the hump? We couldn't get over the hump because Mark Rick was a good man.
Terrence
And
Edwards. Sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, that season, I remember it very well. That Florida game was the only game I went to that year, and it was in Jacksonville. It's the only game we lost. And if Tavares King or Terrence Edwards, I'm sorry, makes that catch in the fourth quarter, driving downfield to score at the end to take the lead, we play for the Natty and we win the Natty.
yeah, yeah, Travis, I don't know, man. I beg to differ about the talent. I beg to differ about the talent. We've been losing talent to Alabama. The Rick years were I mean, dude, let's do it. We're here, right? So
But I mean,
little
Rick's
Bleacher
the
Report.
twilight of Rick's career is going to be different if we win a couple of those, games, or we catch a couple of those passes earlier in his, career. Then who knows what the end of his career looks like? It's going to be different. More people might want to come play for us. You know, I mean, we were a play away from playing for a national championship twice in his career,
Yeah,
in his tenure
yeah.
there.
I can agree. I didn't want to misrepresent. I can agree with that. I mean, but what were the we've always had a problem. I don't. This is another thing. We've always had a problem recruiting wide receivers, man. That's been another
Yeah,
thing. Like I'll
that's
add
true.
to that. AJ Green signed. He's another 5-star guy that everybody was like, holy crap. I was a huge AJ Green fan. Like I had
Yeah,
an
but then
AJ
he
Green jersey.
then he sold his ring and couldn't play for 4 or 5 games one season that we were supposed to be stacked, and have a chance to make a run,
Right.
but we're missing our best wide receiver.
Imagine imagine if NIL was we wouldn't lose him then, right? If
That's
NIL
right.
was
It wouldn't have mattered if he sold his jersey or his ring or his cleats or whatever.
it's so funny, man. It's just crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. But the the bottom line is at the end of the day, we always had issues at White House. AJ Green, Reggie Brown, dude, we forget about Reggie Brown. That's crazy. Why is Rivals not on the work right now?
He
Of
was
course
supposed to
not.
be so good.
He was like I think the names you just called out. All right, Fred Gibson. Was Fred Gibson before Rick too? Didn't Ray Goff? Wasn't Fred Gibson with Ray Goff too? Did
I
Rick
think he was
inherit Gibson?
early Rick. Yeah, I think he was early Rick.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I don't even know what conference we're in right now. Oh well. Yeah, I think so. To land the plane on conference realignment, I really think that um, I think that it's just going to be chaotic. I think a lot of SEC teams will get a look next year at that 12-team playoff. The only thing is you're going to have the two issues I'm going to have is you're going to have an ACC team that's probably not worthy of being in that playoff. You're going to have a you're going to have a Big 12 team in there that's probably not worth being in that playoff. And
Taking
is
2 spots away
anybody
from somebody else.
yeah, and is anybody going to get the pity factor? Is Liberty going to get the pity factor because they deserve to be in there to make the playoffs? Because what I see happening next is, are we going to try to make this a March Madness where we go, well, so and so's 13-0. What could they do if they got into that tournament? Well, nothing, because they have not played any of those caliber of teams. So
Yeah,
they're going to just take the spot from somebody that might actually play a competitive
deserve to be
game.
there. Yeah.
So, so crazy, man. So finally, to wrap up tonight, we're gonna just go over some portal stuff. I know we hit on Trevor Etienne, but so today, big news today: Michael Jackson from USC committed to play wide receiver for the University of Georgia. That's huge on the backside of obviously losing. Brock's declared, Ladd has declared,
Mm-hmm.
CJ Smith hit the portal. Um, and so that's good news coming over. So Michael Jackson, obviously, um, uh, yeah, man. Travis, enjoyed the convo, man. Tune in anytime, bro. Tune in anytime. Go like and follow. Tell all your friends too. I know you got tons of friends, bro. If you can get my boy, uh, dude, if you can get my boy Tyler Perry, man, to follow the podcast, bro, we'll do something special for you.
Well, that would
I
be
don't know if you
great.
guys know, but Travis King, man, is that dude's a borderline movie star right now.
Nice.
Been in a lot of Netflix movies. You can throw him up there, Travis, man. You can. I don't care, man. You can put it up there
Promote,
on promote,
promote
man. Yeah,
yourself.
that's what we are, bro. So obviously, anyways, thanks for joining, Travis, man. Join
Yes,
anytime,
sir.
bro. Michael Jackson. Jared Zirkle. That was weird, but I guess Zirkle was hidden behind uh gotcha, fam. Was hidden behind the scenes as far as kicking duties and responsibilities. So he's going to head out to Texas A&M. And then Morissette, Nyland Green. Then obviously we got the Trevor Etienne news on Christmas Day. Um,
Merry
and then
Christmas.
we lost Joshua Miller. We didn't see a lot of Miller. He went to Syracuse, followed Fran Brown. The other
Mm-hmm.
big the other big news besides ETN is, and I know we're talking wideouts, but the other big news after Jackson was Colby Young from Miami. So Colby
Yeah.
Young
Isn't he like six
is
five or something like that?
6'5", 215 pounds. He's a junior, so he could possibly have a year. I mean, I'm sure he's looking to come in and make a splash, and then try to hit the NFL. But he
He's
had
six
great
five. He'll
numbers,
definitely have a chance.
bro, 6'5", man.
Can
Talk
you
about,
imagine Beck hitting him on those like fades in the end zone, man?
dude.
God.
Beck saw this and was like, another thing, man. If Beck's sitting there and he's on Christmas Day, I mean, we got Colby Young on the 23rd. But if you're sitting there having early Christmas and then you go Christmas Day and you get Colby Young and Trevor Etienne, 6'5", who had 800 and something yards receiving at Miami this year with a very untapped in quarterback room at Miami. Like, what do they really have this year?
Yeah.
And then obviously ETN running behind a really horrible line at Florida. You got to be looking going, and then we haven't even hit on the fact that I love the Xavier McLeod
Mm.
get from South Carolina, adding some beef. 325 pounds.
Yep.
He saw some significant snaps for South Carolina this year. He also comes in a little bit higher rated than he was when he was recruited.
Mm-hmm.
Rivals has him rated out as a 92.16 coming into Georgia. That's a 4-star solid.
Nice.
So that's great. And then you know, I just look at how we're just kind of getting those details done with our roster right now, and I don't think we'll do much in the portal come spring. I think we'll
Yeah.
be solidifying culture at that time.
Probably.
Um, it looks bright. I mean, and we'll end it like this. We finally, I saw some hints of social media today that Georgia's going to be picked, as favorites for the national championship 2024, 2025.
Yes, sir.
What's your, hit that one right there, and then we'll hit some final thoughts, Fish. But what do you think about that as far as predictions? You think it's a good prediction? What do you think we're staring at to get there next year?
I think if we definitely had the same schedule this year, next year, that's a lock. But our schedule next year is redonkulous.
Hmm.
It is a gauntlet. I
I
mean, we
agree.
got to go to Missouri, to Bama, to Texas, to Kentucky. We get Auburn at home, we get Tennessee at home. But man, like Ole Miss on the road too. I mean,
I
ugh.
I totally agree with you. The schedule's going to be weird,
But
but
no
the
way if
hope,
we don't if we run that, we're number one, hands down. Nobody has a harder schedule than us next year. Nobody.
yeah. But so you're saying, so let me ask you this: are you saying you're definitely saying in the playoffs, right?
Oh, for sure. If we
Um,
lose, we'll lose one or two, but we'll still make it. We'll still be top 12, even if we do lose somehow 2 games next year.
can I tell you something that's intriguing? What's intriguing to me is this. It's intriguing to me that you've seen ever since we go in and we lose to Texas in the Sugar Bowl 3 years ago.
hmm
You've seen how Kirby has coached teams to finish every year.
hmm
I think yes, you can look at, if you look at our schedule from a terms of, oh man, so this is a 14 playoff or a BCS type playoff. I think people look at this schedule and go, wow, this is going to be hard. I don't look at this schedule like that. I love this schedule because we're going to have a lot of options. I think we'll get in the 12-team playoff. I think it's going to
hmm
be hard to win the SEC this year. Whoever wins the SEC this year is going to have to play their butt off, bro.
hmm
Regardless of if they're at home or away, there is no schedule that's easy. There is no schedule that's better than the other or favored more than the other. Yeah, are there some games I think what makes Georgia's schedule interesting is you got to go to Texas and
Yes,
to
that is the
Alabama.
yeah the road games. The road
Yeah,
games definitely make it different.
because I was looking at like home games. I mean, we're even considering, going to, the Clemson game this year
hmm
because, I mean, once again, there is our games this year that are, I think Tennessee at home will be great, but you got to go to I mean, add Ole Miss to that, man. Don't count Ole Miss out because
That is not an easy place to go win a game.
no, and you're adding Walter Nolan, you're adding a bunch of receiver depth. I mean, if they keep Junkins, that'll be a huge hit. But they
That
have
game might
added,
be a shootout.
yeah. What's the Umi Umi Alea? I think is his name, from Florida. Really
Yeah,
stud defensive end. They added him. I mean, bro, Lane Kiffin's basically just been a free. I mean, an agent. He's been everybody's agent. I mean,
he
he's just
lives in the
signing them,
portal,
dude.
man. He lives in the portal, and for that NIL right now, I mean, apparently they got some money at Ole Miss.
They do, bro. They got money because it's nothing but old buildings and fields and rich kids and solo cups. You heard
They're
that
not
here.
developing their state. They're just spending money on college football championships. Gotcha.
Exactly. But you know what? Best of luck to him. But
Yeah.
I think that's why it's interesting is
hmm
because when we get into that 12-team playoff, we will be very seasoned. I think we will be, to a lot of teams we will play, we will be highly favored. And
hmm
here's the
I
thing
think
too,
so.
it doesn't scare me if we're not a a lock pick. In other words, like we're not getting into that buy, because remember, two or three of those buy teams are going to be possible, not even top 15 teams. So it
True.
doesn't really matter. Like, if you're a buy team, I mean, like, think about this. If you're FSU and you're landed on the side of, I don't know, you're landed on Alabama's and, let's just throw Oregon out there, Michigan out there. So here's the embarrassment again. You could easily see an FSU team go into a poor ACC schedule this year, lose one or two, maybe three games, go win the ACC, and then go lose, and then go have their bye, sit at home, watch everybody on TV. Everybody gets to
hmm
talk up FSU, and then they go to their second round game after sitting there eating popcorn, and then they lose 63-3 to some real talent. And this time
yeah.
it's on. It could be on a playing field where their players are not gone into they're not left for the NFL.
Yeah.
So I
Well, no,
like it.
yeah. Won't be any opt outs or anything like that now during the
No,
playoff.
no, it's gonna be interesting, man. Well, Fish, it's been cool, man. It's been good. Great talking. I think we talked about as much as we could talk about Portal. We'll get
Yes,
some
sir.
more info. We're gonna do this a few more times throughout intermittently between January, February, and March. And then we will be full tilt. So we'll be kind of intermediate. And Fish is going to be joining me a lot more on Dogs Down South.
Yes,
I
sir.
love I love the relationship and the the camaraderie, and we're gonna build this thing, man.
Let's do it.
Not because we want big audiences, man, because I think it's just awesome to talk Georgia football. And
Dude, it's fun to have somebody to talk to, like
yeah,
about
man.
football, and that's as passionate about it as I am.
Yeah, man, and get some perspective, man. I want to get some of
Yeah,
these guys in here on this thing, and we'll heat up for spring practice. We'll talk about we'll be going a lot more on during spring practice and things of that nature, and then super excited. I'm already counting the days down, man. Like when is Georgia Clemson, right?
yeah.
So
Or
it's
G Day.
already on
I'm
the
ready for
docket.
G Day. I'm ready for G
G
Day.
Day, yeah, man. Who you got? Like, before we get out of here, who you got national championship?
Oh man, give me
Washington,
Washington by
Michigan.
14.
Yeah, man. Give me
Give me
Washington.
Washington by 14.
I don't want to see Harbaugh go out on a high, and I definitely don't want to see, would it be nice to see Michigan, go out and say, well, that's, Bama. I don't need all that. I think Washington would be cool, but man, if Washington wins, what kind of controversy comes up? Because there's some games that Washington should have lost towards the end of the year that
I
are just
think
like,
beating Bama for Michigan was their championship.
right.
Like, I think they're going to be drained emotionally. I don't know how they just turn back around and start focusing on Washington. I don't know.
I'm gonna do the opposite,
I
bro.
don't
I'm
know.
gonna do the opposite because both my picks, I had Texas and I had Alabama, and I had Alabama winning it all. So I'm gonna go
Yeah,
opposite, man. I'm gonna pick Michigan, but hope Washington wins. so,
there you go.
so I don't
I
curse
like
it, man.
Penix. I like Penix. And did
I
you
do
know? Did
too.
you see him throwing southpaw and right-handed in the game? Did you see
Yeah,
that? Did you catch that?
yeah. Did you
Who does
also
that?
catch? Did you also catch the Jeremy Pruitt when he came to Tennessee and Penix was on? He was on the list of Penix was committed to Tennessee, and
No way.
yeah, and
I did
Truitt
not know that.
Truitt didn't want him. Not Truitt. I'm sorry. Pruitt.
Pruitt,
Jeremy
not Coach
Pruitt.
Truitt, not
Yeah,
Coach
not
Truitt
Coach
from
Truitt.
American.
No, Truitt. If you're watching, bro, yeah, you'd want him. But Pruitt
Oh
didn't
yeah,
want him. Pruitt didn't want him, man, and sent him on about his way. And you know, McDonald's bags and cash and no job later selling. I think he's selling F-150s in Alabama somewhere.
yep. Just
Michael
imagine.
Penix is playing for a national championship, man,
Yes,
and
sir.
Jeremy Pruitt's going to be hoping he
Watching
can
it
get
at
off
home
work.
on his 32-inch TV.
Can you imagine, bro? Like, I don't mean to be that guy, but like Jeremy Pruitt's having to ask off for the. He's like, man, can I leave a little early from
Just
selling
so I can go
cars
home and watch this game.
so I can watch this game because it's a guy that if I should have probably signed as a quarterback, maybe I wouldn't be selling F-150s right now.
Nope, nope. Be getting ready to play in a national championship game, maybe, or have won one in the past. Who knows?
It's nuts, man. All right.
It is.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining Dogs Down South. Fish, thanks for joining.
Anytime, buddy.
We will go live soon, closer to end of January, early February.
Sounds good.
Talk about some movement. Talk about if we see any other NFL movement, and we'll kind of know in February what we'll be going into probably as far as G Day rosters and spring
Yeah.
practice rosters, and obviously if we have any breaking stuff that we need to talk about, like we'll hop on. But other than that, man, hey, happy New Year to everyone. Fish, happy New Year to you, man.
Happy New Year.
It'll be cool to watch the national championship Monday night, and looking
Yes,
forward
sir.
already to the Georgia Clemson. But man, on behalf of Fish and myself, thanks for joining Dog Down South. Share, like, tell your friends. Not because because man, let's get as many people on here as possible. I mean, the more the merrier, right?
Yep.
So have your friends
Always.
join, man. Tell them, talk about it, like it, share it, all those things, man. Have a good night, Fish. Peace, man.
Yes, sir.